And speaking of one of the guys that we've been able to count on every year, Colin Chalk, an unfortunate injury. Talk a little bit about where he is in his timeline, his injury, and when we can expect him back.
Well, he got out of the hospital last weekend, and I expect him to be behind the bench helping Al Sims out Saturday in Evansville, and he's going to start skating when they come back. I mean, he just wants to make extra darn sure that everything's fine. The great news is they didn't have to operate this time, so I mean, it should be a shorter recovery time. The hard part is he's got to get in game shape, which you can't do if you can't ride a bike or skate on your foot. It's just going to be like starting from scratch. There's only so much you can do, lifting weights and that kind of thing. So it's going to take some time.
Does the All-Star break come in a good time for the Komets? Because you see Beauregard was put a couple weeks ago on the 21-day with the upper body injury, shoulder injury. Hopefully he should be back by the end of the All-Star break, don't you think?
Actually, I think he will be. I think he'll play Saturday. And he was really playing well when he got hurt, too. He was a big cog in the offense. And for as much as he gets criticized for his lack of defense, I felt like he was really trying. I mean, there were a lot of passes he was breaking up in the neutral zone. He's never going to be the guy that shadows the other team's top scorer. But I felt Thomas deserved a lot of credit this year for his effort in the defensive zone, trying to get back. Let's face it, Glenn, 90% of the problem with this team has been trying to adjust to the cycle of getting new players in every week from Norfolk and trying to get them to buy into what the Komets are doing and trying to get them to, not worry about their stats to get back up, but worry about the team. And that hasn't always been successful. That's it in a nutshell right there.
And do you think that's atypical of a team in the Komets situation?
No.
That they play a different brand, they play a more team brand maybe than ECHL teams have played for in the past, or when these guys have been down in different situations. They're not used to playing Komets hockey.
Well, they think they got to produce right away and score right away to put up numbers to go back. I mean, how many times have we talked on this show about how when teams call you up, they're not calling you up to play the first line, they're calling you up to play the third line.
Yeah.
I mean, they want guys like J.M. Risk, who's going to go up and play defense and isn't going to hurt you offensively, can kill penalties, that kind of thing. That's why Risk and Marino got a chance to go up recently for tryouts. They're not going to call you up to play on their third line. They're going to, if you're a first line guy and you're thinking you're going to go back to the first line, you're going to go up and sit on your butt in the stands. So you better work on the other half of the game too.
Perfect transition. You mentioned J.M. Risk. That was the next thing I had to talk about. 15 goals, tied for the team lead this year. What have you seen from him this season that's allowed him to take another step from what we saw last season?
Two things. He's really learned to use his size. He's one of the bigger centers, and he's really used to use his physical gifts, especially on the forecheck. I mean, when he and Shockey are out there, and Furman, and then lately Mike Hoban, they've been playing the system. They've been doing what they're supposed to do, what the coach has asked them to do, and it works. The other guys are out there sometimes doing their own thing. These three guys are doing what they're supposed to, and they've been the Komets' most effective line offensively, defensively, and they're going against the other team's top lines. And if they can do it against that, why can't the other guys do it more consistently too?
Hoban only scores game winners. That's all he does.
Exactly.
Penalty minutes. You take a look at 895 penalty minutes, most in the Eastern Conference. You kind of addressed it with Maggio that they've been scaled back more recently. But does that concern you at all going forward?
Definitely.
And what about it concerns you, and how do they rectify it?
I'll tell you, this is what drives me absolutely nuts. How many of those minutes are the forwards taking calls in the offensive zone? Luco Caputi, Saturday night, they're down 2-0. The Komets score a power play goal. Nick Wheeler, who I really enjoy watching, and I think he has a chance. If he was 2 inches bigger, he'd be great. But, I mean, that kid's got a little bit of mean to him, too. But anyway, so they scored a 2-1, opening face-off. They got the momentum. Luca Caputi takes a tripping penalty at center ice. What are you doing? Why is that? Was that the right play ever? No. How many times have they had, and Brandon Marino, as great a year as he's had, how many penalties has he taken in the offensive zone trying to hook a guy or trip? It's like he's Colin Chalk's little brother, I mean, how many, you're going to get penalties in the defensive zone.
Sure.
You can live with those if they're saving a scoring chance, that type of thing. You can take those. How many times have the Komets taken penalties from the center ice in? that is just got to be driving Al Sims nuts.
Yeah, that leads me to my next question. This is a great show. You're just setting me up and I'm knocking them out. What does Al Sims do from here on out to get things rolling to the point where they're more consistent night in and night out?
Oh boy, that's an easy question. Thanks
a
lot.
question,
Yeah. Thanks for that. Well, they need Colin back. They really need Colin back, and not so much for his points, but they could use that too. But they need Colin back in the room to reinforce everything, to hold guys accountable, to make them play the system, to do what they're supposed to do. It's like the Komets had 15 games in 24 days. Well, how do you survive 15 games in 24 days? You play the system. You make the game easier for yourselves. Mm-hmm. You just do what you're supposed to and don't worry about it. The rest of it will take care of itself. Well, they started doing that. They were 8-5. And then they had these last 2 games they lost, both by 1 goal essentially. And it's like, why didn't you guys play the system? Why didn't you just do what you're supposed to do? Let the game be easier on you. And they didn't do it. And they've been really struggling with that at home.
Last question of the week. One player from here on out that really needs to pick up their game or that you think can be a real factor for the Komets, who would it be?
Well, I'll go back to Mags. I really will. Because with Brett Henley gone, Mags is going to be playing anymore. He's going to be playing PK. He's going to get some power play time. I think Eric Jost is another one. Eric has really battled with injuries with his high ankle sprain, and I think Eric has not even scratched the surface this year. And that's not a criticism of Eric. It's like he got hurt, and then he tried to get healthy, and then he got hurt, and then he's trying to get healthy. I think he's just getting back right now to his conditioning, or he's going to hit a hot streak here and take off.
Yeah, I remember they really loved him in camp, and it's been a struggle for him to stay healthy, a la maybe Brett Smith last year.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. I mean, every time he's out there, he gives you what he's got. I just think he's going to start finding his touch now with a stick and putting some points away.
All right, plenty more to talk about as the season progresses, as we're at the All-Star break. For Blake Sebring, I'm Glenn Marini. We'll see you next week talking Komet hockey.